Hello. Oh, I'm out of breath. I had to run up and down the stairs, finding the microphone, which is on. Great news. It's no excuse to be late, or 24 hours early, maybe, because today is Wednesday. It's just that some IKEA samples arrived. I really wanted to open them, see what the colours look like, and it's very intoxicating. Ideas of colours and expense and so forth. Anyway, hello. Week 52, which traditionally, I suppose, marks some sort of anniversary, but we've had one of those, so this is just a normal one today. Completely normal live stream where we go through what's changing in the world as pertains to bibliographic metadata management, how we are enabling you to reach further, wider to your audiences so that they can find your outstanding publications, levelling up your expertise, going deep where depth is desirable, and doing all of this at speed. And today I thought that we would revisit our burgeoning, nascent new imprint that I randomly introduced one afternoon over the summer. Do you remember? Equine Press. And this is, change, obviously, if you're a sensible person and you fear change and, try and avoid it at all costs, but sometimes change can be all right, can't it? And if you buy a new imprint, perhaps that's one of those occasions of merriment, but it still means you have got to slightly change your work processes, perhaps recommend welcome on board new team members, and make recommendations for workflow changes. So it's all the sort of thing that just puts a little bit of a crimpener in a person's day, isn't it? Doing new things. So let us spend today looking at what happens when you take on a new imprint or you found a new imprint. We're going to be sort of lingering at the early parts of the workflow process. And so change, we're going to be looking at new imprint management. Then we're going to be looking at plans, which is Constance's word for P&Ls, profit and loss, the financial argument for whether we should publish this work or not, do this effort. Then we're going to be looking at briefing notes, because that's like the qualitative side of an acquisitions meeting, I always feel. You have the numbers, the quantitative side. You have the compelling argument, which we can look at through briefings. And then we'll have a look at running an acquisition meeting. We're going to use something like pipelines. And then we're going to have a look at schedules as well, because that's the next thing. If something gets acquired, obviously we want to make sure that we're going to be on schedule. So that's the plan for today. I'm just going to move away from the PowerPoints for now, because it's just really some sort of construct to enable us to talk about what we want to talk about, isn't it? So we're on real consonants today, web.consonants.app, and we're there because that's where I started to set up this new Equine Press imprint, but we are still on our imaginary publisher called Feline Press. So none of this is real. Don't start, trying to find these amazing publications about horses on the internet, because alas, they're made up. So let's have a look. We are going to orient ourselves, have a look at what this thing is. And the first thing we'll do is go to Data Studio and have a look at which products do we have, which works and products do we have that are in this Equine Press imprint, new area. So, imprints, publishers, batches, series, they're all ways to group a work and its products. Or, contributors. A contributor will have written their body of work. And you can use Data Studio to come at your works and products any one of those sort of starting points. So we will have a look at imprint today, won't we? We'll say, okay, imprint, if I can spell it. So work imprint, include any of equine press today. And we will start with a list of products. So what did we do previously? We've got horsing around, we've got a hardback of Neighbour, and we've got an EPUB of Neighbour. So 2 works, 3 products. This is the products list. If I go to the works list, I'll see 2. So that's all fine and dandy. I notice on the horsing around that at the moment the product form code is undefined. So there's really a dearth of information about that. Let's go into horsing around and see if we can find out a little bit more information. So you'll know what I'm doing here. I'm using the system to construct our story as we go. But this is how days go, isn't it? You think, what products, what works are in this imprint, or in this imprint coming out next month, or some other thing that you want to make an inquiry of. And then when you see them, you dive in. So if there's a link in consonants, or if there's something that looks like a link, then it's a link, and you follow your nose, and you don't have to sort of do a big design up front to think, how am I going to do such and such a thing in consonants? It's meant to be the sort of system where the software gets out of the way and the tools just happen to be in front of you when you need them to make further inquiries. So if consonants ever falls short on that, you're at liberty to raise a ticket and let us know, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make your data be very, very in your face, and make the system itself just sort of elegantly retire into the background, like we were listening to the PG Woodhouse audiobook the other day. So just like our old friend Jeeves, always miraculously there with insight and expertise when you need him, and somehow invisible when you don't. So I wanted to make sure that the format for this was up to date. So I'm going to change the product form, and I'm going to use the in-house format drop down here to set up what I think this this product is. Now I deliberately came here because I wanted to make mention that this drop down is the drop down that ships when a new client starts with consonants. It's one of the few drop downs on the metadata page that is not constrained by the ONIX standard. And we've tried to flag them by saying, this is the in-house format. Whereas if it's a sort of more formal ONIX kind of a code, then that will become evident. The ONIX code lists tend to have a code and a name. Then they have some descriptive text, and we've taken that straight from the documentation, the editor, the fine people who manage the ONIX standard publish and maintain. But the in-house format, this is more like one of your own templates, and it's a little bit of a murky area, I was thinking, because we set this up for new clients in this sort of way so that you don't have to do absolutely everything from scratch. But on the other hand, it does make it look like these are it might make it look like these are the only options available to you, or that you have to always look at these for all time. It's not the case. So we'll nip over in a moment up to settings, and we'll fiddle around with some of these just to remind everyone that this is meant to be your list with words that are meaningful to you. Yeah, a bit stuck on that one, to be honest. I don't want having a completely blank drop down is bad. Having a completely looks very formal and finished drop down is bad. I guess we'll just have to muddle through, won't we? So I'm going to say this is a B format paperback. The benefit of these in-house formats are that they're like templates. There's a load of stuff hidden behind this label of B format paperback UK, which means that when I press save, I'm going to get all of that templated data loaded into my new account, my new record here. So I don't have to type in 198 by 129 millimeters. And I don't have to type in or go to this drop down and select BC, paperback, softback. There's useful templating that comes with it. So I'll just press save and we'll see, you know, there I've magically got my height and my width in millimeters and inches. I've got my CPSIA hazard that's come from it. I've got my onyx bits filled in as well. So, you know, definitely a useful feature to know about. Before we get distracted, by we obviously I mean let's go to account, look at settings and see what we can do to make that our own, make that your own. So one thing to mention is I have just opened that in another tab. I have heard it said that other people's systems, you can't open multiple tabs. I don't know. Obviously, open other pages in another tab and look at in-house formats. So these are all of the ones that ship with the system. Now you can add a new one. You can go in and edit a new one, an existing one, or you can delete ones that you just know you're never going to use and they're just going to cause more confusion than not. So, you know, you can absolutely go in and make this list your own. Let's hop in and see the sorts of data that we can store in this, you know, I'm going to call it a template, B format paperback template. We can say a name, a code and a description. We can marry up the in-house description that we're talking about here to some of the onyx values. Don't have to fill everything in, obviously, especially things that are irrelevant like number of pieces, you know, you can just walk off from that. You've got your format details here. Will I be able to remember the... Oh, I don't have to. The US Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act of 2008 is a required field when applicable for products sold in the US. So, you know, how boring to have to put that in for completely harmless books every time you publish one. So use a template, no known hazards or warnings. Lovely. You could do the same with EU toy safety hazard warning as well if you wanted to. And then there's the measurements at the bottom there, and we've only got the height and the width. It's a bit of a, I can't imagine there's many times when you know that you're going to do a set of products and the width is going to be identical. I mean, maybe those very short introduction ones that Oxford University Press do, that sort of thing might be relevant. But anyway, if there's any data that you want templatized that's here, knock yourself out, can absolutely do that. So yeah, just a reminder really that the in-house format list and the in-house edition list and anything else that says in-house like subjects, those are yours. You don't have to live with the default options that we have shipped to set your account up so that it's not a complete sort of blank slate. Yeah, so in fact while I'm there, I'll just say that this is a horse type of a book for my in-house subjects. I'm actually, I don't know what the theme codes are for horses. Let's just type in horses. Horse. Animal life stories, quite nice. Computer crime and cybercrime. What's it matched there? Trojan horses. Oh, love it. Not that sort of horse, silly computer. Animal assisted therapy, riding, show jumping, and a very gendered way of saying horse riding, irritating. Equine management, great. Mythical, legendary and supernatural beings. We're just talking normal horses here. Horses and ponies. Anyway, you get the gist. To choose your theme codes, you can type in strings to try and match whatever you're looking at. And not only will consonants match that to the name of the theme code, it will match it to anything within within the Onyx notes. This is a list of crimes. Lovely. Quite funny. When was the last time you created a destructive worm? Oh, I don't think I've done that for a while, if ever. Right, so that's lovely. So we have established that we've got a couple of works in our Equine Press imprint. We have established that all of them have now got at least a product format, but perhaps we haven't yet established that we're going to go ahead with these particular publications. So let's play the game of getting them ready for the acquisition meeting. So while I'm on horsing around, I'll click through to project management and see some of the options that we have available for the beginning of this project stage. We've got plans, which we're going to look at. We've also got discussions. We're hovering over the word briefings and I'm looking at the word discussions. We've also got briefings, and we're going to fill in both of those. But we can also just dance around this idea of discussions as well. The idea of having discussions in consonants is purely to get your discussions out of your email. And that is an undesirable place for discussions to be, because if somebody goes on holiday, then you can't get into their email to find the information. If it's the sort of information that should reside really close by to the rest of the data, store it next to the rest of the data. So let's start a discussion here and say something like, are we okay to go into this subject area? Because we haven't signed off any books in the Equine Press bit yet. We'll have to see. So I'll send it to myself, and I'll need to actually say something. New subject area. Is it okay? Does it fit with our long hyphenated term strategy? And that's a comma splice, so I'll pop an and in there. Lovely. So now a discussion has started and my colleagues can comment back, and I'll get copied to that on my Gmail email client. You might use Outlook or other normal email clients. And you'll get the benefit of being able to use the normal tools that you have to communicate with other people. But when we come back to this record in 18 months' time to look for the important qualitative discursive information, it will be preserved for all time. And that's as important a sort of intellectual property as the sort of more table-based metadata, I would say. So discussions are great. And other things are great as well, but we'll keep it a bit snappy. Let's now put together a briefing note. So this is the words part of the acquisition meeting pitch. We're going to do the finance part in a moment when we do plans. So let's look at briefings. Haven't got any briefings yet, so let's create a new one. And I'm going to call it acquisition briefing. You can call it whatever you want. Hope you can spell it as well. I'm not going to copy it from a template just at the moment, but you totally can. Again, this idea of templates, you can say, well, every time we talk about a new work, we definitely want to talk about A, B, C, and D. So let's put those areas into a briefing template, and then people have the skeleton to fill in when they come to do this. Another thing we can do is set a marketing material template. So that sounds weird, doesn't it? Because here we are on a briefing template, implies that it's internal. Marketing material sounds a little bit external. But why not use the tools that you use elsewhere to style your internal documents, to make it as compelling as you possibly can? We've all seen those sort of system emitted printouts that, at this critical stage when you're trying to persuade your colleagues that this work is going to be the one for us, you do want the materials you bring to the meeting to be just as beautiful as any other time. So you can absolutely use your marketing material templates build one specially for this purpose, or reuse other ones. You can use those to lay out your compelling acquisition argument. And I'm going to include just the one product on this briefing because there is only one on this particular work. So there we go. I've got my briefing set up. Let's go in and edit it before we start emitting it as. In fact, no, we'll emit it as a PDF with no information in, and then you're going to be able to see how it gets built up. So there are two ways you can get this briefing into a presentation format. First of all, you can click PDF default, and that will give you the default. And it bring, we've not written any briefing texts yet, but it's going to bring the information that is available into this PDF, so you don't have to, repeat yourself and type into some Word document the ISBN 13, the publication date, copy and paste the image, this, that, and the other. So that's all fine. The other thing you can do is export this information in the PDF format using the marketing material template that you attached. So let's click on that and see what that looks like. And there we have it. We've got a banner, we've got a footer. We haven't got much information in the middle because there isn't much information yet, but we do have the ISBN 13 and we have the name of the briefing note. So, very, very empty pages because we haven't added much in yet. So let's click edit and let's go and have a look at what we can add. So we can add notes and we can add images, and I quite like images at this stage for things such as screenshotting top 10 listings in newspapers and magazines to show that this set of contributors has got pass form. I do think a picture paints 1,000 words. I do not have any pictures available and I don't want to go ferreting around. So I'm just going to randomly take a screenshot. In fact, I'll take a screenshot of my page and then you can see what I see, which is a bit weird. So I'm going to upload if I can grab it. Yep. I'm going to upload a image. Hopefully you're seeing that. Now I have to check. Yeah, so this is a screenshot that I've just taken off my screen, and now I'm going to press save, and that's going to upload, and that's like the YouTube streaming component thing that I have to look at. So now when we download the PDF, we're going to see that image embedded in the PDF. So, really great to build up this argument that is composed of both words and images there. Let me see if images are included on this particular marketing template. So, and they are. So, we get the best of both worlds there. Lovely. So now let's add some text. And I am going to say market fit. Market fit. Horses are in the ascendance, and we are primed to take advantage, very compelling copy, advantage of our position. Please do a better job than me. I'm sure that won't be hard. So now we've added a briefing note there. We'll add another one as well. Author performance, top 10 best seller over the last 50 years in this market. Whatever it is that you normally put on your Word documents that you take into the meeting in the hope that this is going to be enough of a commercial argument to persuade the team. Write it here. And then let's have a look. So we get all of the metadata and we get our nice words. And we get all of the metadata, or whichever metadata has been included on that template, and the nice words and the pictures. So one can build that up. There can be templates brought to bear. It makes your argument look professional as well as sound professional. The actual words, over to you, but we can take care of the beauty side of things. So that is building up an acquisition briefing. And you'll notice this doesn't say acquisition management, this says briefings. So you can use this feature for notes to your typesetter, notes to your proofreader, notes to the line editor, notes to the art director. You can use it for the release document. You know, if when on publication you send a round robin around the team saying, on the list this week we're publishing this, that and the other, definitely vote for it on whatever forums you come across. Then you can use it for this. So this is like a beautifully laid out document that is used mainly for more inward, internal looking aspects of the process than advanced information sheets or tip sheets or that sort of thing. Now let's have a look at the money side of things. So let's look at plans, because in the acquisition meeting we want to show that beautiful bit of paper, but we also want to make sure that everyone knows it's actually going to contribute to the coffers. So we're going to add a plan, and we're going to call it Equine Press Plan. But there aren't any plans at the moment. If we go to the top menu, we'll see all of the plans for all of the different bits of planning that we've done. We've got a Spring Summer 25, we've got a Cat Series plan, we've just added a new Equine Press plan. So you can have as many plans as you want, and you can edit them, manage them, delete them as you'd expect. So we're creating a new Equine Press plan. And the first page that appears when we go to a new plan, we get the opportunity to add channels and works and products. So in Consonance, which is different to other systems, you can have a multi-work P&L. And within that idea, you can have all or a selection of the products on those works. So you can do a multi-work plan but omit all of the EPUBs. Or you can do just a single paperback plan. So just a one work plan. It's up to you. It's quite malleable in that regard. Similarly, you can do a plan at the level of all of the sales everywhere, or we're only really interested in knowing what we're going to sell in the home market or in a subset of the home market, or some flavour of refining down a particular range of things. So we get the opportunity at this point to choose. So I'm clicking, what did I click on? I clicked on add a plan channel. So I click on that and I get my drop down of channels that are available to me. The theme of today's live stream is things that ship with your account when you first get your account, that you don't have to live with. So for a new account, you get a couple of channels, and I think it's Home Trade and Home Gratis. Let's hop over to one of our other tabs up here. Let's keep things tidy, and have a look at channels and see how we can do that. Settings, go to channels, and we've got Home Trade and Home Gratis. Now you can't delete these when you've got some data attached to them. Oh, in fact it said there, that would be pretty bad. So it says this channel, it's tiny, this channel cannot be edited or deleted as dependent records exist. So that's fine. But when you first get your account, if you want to call if you get sales from a distributor, they're the ones that aggregate all of your sales together, and you want to call your sales channel the name of that distributor, absolutely fine. The idea here, the best practice, is that you set up your channels in Consonance to identically reflect reality. So however you see the world, make sure that Consonance knows that and has the channels set up here. The other rule of thumb is set up channels in such a way that you're going to be able to import sales into them. So there's no point in you setting up 4 different sales channels for the 4 regions of the United Kingdom if in your sales report it just says United Kingdom, because there's no way to split out from that the Scottish sales and the Welsh sales and the English sales and the Irish sales. So you have to make sure that you don't stitch yourself up for the future. Make sure that you can marry up your data with the reality of the situation. So I can add a channel, and I can give it like a parent. So, and all of this, the same goes for these sort of parent level channels as well. And I can call it concessions. Let's say, say that we managed to get a little stand in railway stations or something. That would be cool. And then you can set up a load of defaults. So, in the same way as with the in-house formats, we could set up default measurements and default product forms and default how does it marry up to product safety legislation. Here we can say, well, we normally get 55% discount. All of the sales in this channel are commissionable, which means that we pay a commission on them, and that commission ends up being about 10%. This is all for planning purposes, so it's better to have something than nothing. Don't get mired in worrying about the absolute accuracy of this. This is for you to get a steer and to stop having to type the same stuff in every time you do a P&L. And you can say things like, the average distribution rate. Well, these days it's always flipping higher, isn't it? Average distribution rate is such and such a thing, and the rough amount of stock that comes back from retailers in a pristine state. Let's take a 0 off that. And how much do we get credited on those returns? And does the distributor charge us to put those returns back into stock? And if it comes to pulping something, how much does that charge per unit? Again, directional information. You don't have to get this absolutely right, and you can revisit this and update it and override it at the plan level. And then we need to know what the royalty basis is so that we can do a bit of a finger in the air, how much is that going to be? So let's say 10% of net receipts. If only the world was always that round and straightforward. So those are some, useful defaults that we can have, and then we can get most of them, get the benefit of them at this stage. So home trade, we'll say yes to that one. We can add multiple, but I don't think I will. I'll just keep it to home trade. And now I'm going to add my horse book. What was the horse book called? Horsing Around. So I'm going to have it's going to be a single work, single product plan, but I could absolutely add any other works and any subsets of those that works products as well. If I choose one that's got multiple products, you see, I could add cats throughout history, and then I could say, yeah, but only the hardbacks, because for some reason I'm just focused on the contribution from hardbacks on this plan. And you can have multiple plans for a single work, so you can do scenario analyses like that, and you can absolutely do a hardback plan, a paperback plan, an everything plan, and then you can do a plan with that work as part of its series, as part of its season, etc., etc. I don't want to load you up with work, but maybe we should just keep this between ourselves and just say, yeah, you can only do one plan. Oh, shame. Right. So that's bit set up. Now we get to see the sales forecast and the cost forecasts. So if I have a look to see what the sales forecast might look like, I've got my one product. It's on the one channel that I said we were going to be looking at, and all I have to do is fill in the first bits of data. Let me make my screen a bit bigger, because all of these defaults have come through from the template that we were looking at, the channel template. So let's say, as ever, a suspiciously round number, we're going to sell 1,000 copies, count them, and we're going to sell it at £25. This is coming up blank because I haven't actually put any prices in at the metadata on the metadata page, but that would come through as well. And we get the defaults through. We're going to say 55% discount, really high distribution rate, really high, blah, 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 blah. And then we can override any of these if we want. So we're going to say, actually, tremendous deal. We can get away with 50% discount to retail for this particular sale. for this particular product being sold in this channel. So I'm going to save that because that's going to give me just enough information to have a look at the report, and we can see where we're headed to. So let's have a look at the report, and magically we have a number in the report. Now, where has it come from? The number is 12,500 Great British pounds. It's in the sales line, and if we expand this, we see, oh yeah, right, 1,000 units has translated to £12,500 because that's the retail price multiplied by the usual discount, multiplied by the retail price, multiplied by the quantity. Those three things. So, you know, you focus on putting in the moving numbers, and Constance can do the basic arithmetic, probably better than me, as we're seeing. We haven't done costs yet, so let's skip down to the bottom bit, but we have got some variable costs, and these are calculated again from those defaults in the channel templatey thing. So we've got some royalties, a rough stab at royalties. We've got the sales commission, rough stab at that, and we've got the distribution as well. So this gives a really nice sense of consistency across different plans. If you're setting up channels and then using them within your plans, and as we've seen, you can't edit them once you've started using them in anger like this, then you know you get to make sure that everyone is sort of comparing apples and apples. And if I just move my face out of the way, the very last bit on the page here says margin contribution. Now, in a accountancy world, on a profit and loss account like this, you would see the word profit or operating profit or net profit or something like that. But I can't stress enough that this is management accounting. This is not accounting. You are guessing, you are planning, you are forecasting, and you are omitting vast amounts of cost and potentially revenue that you know will occur in real life. You know, where is payroll in this? Where is the cost of utilities? Where is the corporation tax line? You know, none of that needs to feature at this level. The important thing is that from plan to plan within Constance, we're comparing like for like. So that's why this says margin contribution at the bottom, not profit or operating profit or some sort of something that you would see on Companies House. This is the sales minus the cost of sales. Oh, there you go. Sales less costs. The profit margin that this work contributes to your company. So just know what these numbers are. Don't take them too seriously. Know that they have come from you just typing in a complete guess, and be prepared to back up your numbers in your briefing note. So get past sales, past top tens, reasons why you've put these numbers in, and it all has to work together, marry up together. So let's finally put in the cost forecast as well. Now we've got a few cost categories here. Again, there is certain cost categories that ship with your fresh new Constance account. Some Constance accounts ship with no cost categories. You have to get in touch to ask us to set these up. So these are your words, and you need to let us know, you know, what groups of spend, what categories of spend you're interested in looking at. So don't worry if you never look at origination, if you never look at typesetting split out from anything. Go and have a look, go and have a talk to your finance team, understand how they look at the world. Go through the notes of your last acquisition meeting, see what the cost categories are, and that's what you should see here. And in order to get those set up, you need to get in touch with us. So cost forecasts, we've done sales, and this is on the same page here. It's just at the bottom. So we can click to edit, and we can see that we've got typesetting, proofreading, and print and bind. There's some blank boxes set up for us, but we can always add more. So I'm going to say that there's going to be a setup of £250 Oh, sorry, put it in the wrong place, because I can have different variants if I have multiple ones. £250, and I save that, and that is like a cost that is a line itself. So if I look on the report now, I'm expecting to see a cost line of £250. Some costs tend to come in at the unit level though, don't they? So let's add those in to the product. We can see there's a per unit cost and like a make ready one-off cost. So different costs, depends on your particular setup. This will make sense if you tend to say, yeah, I get a unit cost from the printer and the make ready here is going to be £1,200. And that's for them to do the plates and the imposition. The 250 there might be, getting special chromolins or some sort of proof done. You will know better than me, and you can say what it is there. So press save, and then the report again is going to do some basic arithmetic, and it's going to notice that you're aiming to sell 1,000 copies. And so the per unit production is going to be at 1,000 copies times whatever it was that we said, £1.23. So yeah, nothing fancy really, but what this provides you is consistency and templating and certainty and a sense that from one month to the next, you're working towards the same process, so that the decisions that you're making have got an element of comparability to previous decisions and future decisions. Great, so I knew this would take ages, me blathering on for 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do next is take us to the top line area here, because we're going to set up a pipeline. And this is where the acquisition meeting gets run. No, this is a bit, I don't know if you're going to be able to do this in-house, because it's a bit different to how people normally do things. Normally there's some poor soul who has to gather together all of this information, print it out, distribute it, and everyone sits around the table with paper. But here's a possible approach. Let's keep all of the data in consonants, make the decisions based on looking at consonants, and make a note of what the decisions are in consonants, and nobody has to do any prep beyond what we've looked at there. And crucially, they don't have to then go and write up the notes of the meeting, introduce 2 to 5 business errors, and have to distribute it around the team. So yeah, let's just see. So pipeline, add a pipeline. This is the acquisition meeting for August 2026. Did I spell that right? Yep. So here's a pipeline, and I can say what the stages might be. So to be discussed is a stage, and another stage is accepted. Hooray! Accepted. And then another stage might be, unfortunately, what's the best word to use? Not accepted. Rejected, failed, and then the other one is revisit, and then you're teeing yourself up for the next acquisition meeting, aren't you? And if you want to put those in a different order, I don't know why you would put not accepted first, then you could do that. So that's quite nice. This is like a Trello board, you'll have used Trello. So let's add our work in progress horse book to be discussed. So I get a bunch of different drop downs here. All I need to do, something is happening outside. All I need to do is choose horsing around for this one and press save. And then here it is. This is going to be an acquisition meeting of 1 at this rate. Let's do the other one as well. Nay. And let's throw in, because it's not all horses all the time, let's throw in a cats one, because we can mix and match, can't we? Cats throughout history, great. Super. So Cats Throughout History has got a little bit more information. So you can see that roles are appearing. It's got to-dos. 9 of them are overdue. Don't panic. It's got a discussion. So, as you add information to your one version of the truth, you get to see it in all of the different places that it appears. If I click on Cats Throughout History here, don't even have to go off to a different page. This is actually a modal window. You can just about see the page behind it. If I press escape, then I'm going to get back to where I was without having to navigate around. So, being in a meeting, it's really handy to be able to dip in and dip out again without, that awful thing where someone is watching you when you're trying to operate a computer. So, you get to see all of your key information in the moment. And even like tick stuff off, as you're saying, oh, well, I've confirmed the blurb, says, person sitting opposite you. Why isn't that ticked off? And you can say, oh, well, it is now. That's great. Thank you for your contribution there. So yes, so all of these things are useful and helpful and mean that you don't have to collate information as a separate step. So with our horsing around, we can click on it and we can see that there's a plan, and we can click through to see that plan exists, and to understand that the report is looking like it's looking. And this might be a plan at the acquisition meeting level. So that would be quite useful in itself. We can see that there's a discussion, and we can see that there's a briefing as well. So we can click through, look at the briefing, and any roles that have been allocated. It's all relevant there. So within the meeting, we have now discussed the horsing around one, and it's great news. It's been accepted, and that's the notes taken. So thrillingly, I get to keep a track with this audit trail of when this was accepted, so there's no confusion about who signed this off. It was in the acquisition meeting. I can make notes if I want, signed off by me, and I can put contacts in and this, that and the other. And equally, I can say, okay, well, the neighbour will have to revisit next time around, and put in some notes, perhaps in a discussion on why it fell short. Keep it. Constance isn't just for the ISBN and the pub date. It's for this whole production around how did we come to the decisions that we came to. So that is quite nice. The final thing I wanted to just make sure you know is that you can surface all of this information at any point within that meeting or otherwise within Data Studio. Let's add a couple of to-dos to horsing around so that we can see that. So I'm hopping into horsing around. I can copy a bunch of to-dos actually from Cats of the World. That will be completely valid. Did I show you last week? Yeah, I did. That there's no subheadings in to-dos. Lovely. So that's my to-dos set up. These are all going to be relative. So if I add in a publication date, hopefully that's the thing against which it's relative. Oh yeah, well that's why it's from like years and years and years ago. 2027. Yeah. So now all of my to-dos are going to update themselves automatically. Boink. And I can surface all of this information within Data Studio. So, time passes, can't quite remember what happened in the acquisition meeting. We can come in and do a new search and say, show me all of the works in the Equine Press imprint, and I want to see the schedule. So let's look at schedule, and I can switch between these different displays, as we know. But here's all of the things I need to do, and I can come in here and have another look, check that everything is set up properly. So, it's just the stuff we look at every week, isn't it? It's quite compelling being able to get at your stuff. We haven't added project stages actually. Let's go back and add a project stage, and then we can do that. Although I'm pretty aware that the time carries on, but quickly horsing around on the metadata page, add a work classification, again in-house. These are anything you want them to be. So it's at it's still at the acquisition stage, and it might be in a particular season, and you might, like all other books ever, put it at the A-star marketing tier, and you might say that it's a general interest. It's reference. Let's say I don't even know what this book is. Horsing around. So those are some in-house work classifications. Now, if I go to Data Studio and look at my unsaved search, then I've got my horsing around in acquisition, and I can use this view to update data as well. So now I've moved horsing around from the acquisition stage to the live stage, and no Excel spreadsheets had to be harmed in the making of this process. You know, there's a lot that you can do if you remain within the system. So let's go back to our our agenda. See if I've missed out any huge tracts of what I wanted to cover today. So we've looked a little bit at what happens when you manage a new imprint. You know, sometimes you have to go back to basics and revisit parts of the system and the process that you haven't thought about for a while. Sometimes you need to explain these parts of the process to new team members if it's been an acquisition and you're working with new colleagues. You can run your acquisition meeting from entirely within Consonance using plans and briefings. You can use pipelines for acquisition meetings, and you can then manage the whole fandango going forward using schedules, which we looked at within Data Studio. So that's quite a whistle-stop tour through some of the early parts of a work's life within Consonance. But you know, in this age where I really hope that more companies can find it within themselves to encourage working from home when commuting becomes intolerable in this climate, you know, being able to run important, nuanced meetings where data must be preserved and shared properly and equitably amongst the whole team, being able to do this sort of process within your online web app, one version of the truth, I think is a really, you know, a cost-saving exercise and a sanity-saving exercise from the point of view of team members. So, you know, if you've watched this and you're thinking, yes, absolutely, we do have the tools to make this strategy a reality, I wish I knew more, then definitely get in touch. We're always very happy to have, you know, one-to-ones or management catch-up meetings to check that all of the tools that you already have access to within Consonance are in fact being utilised and are known about by the team widely. So yeah, always happy to chat. In the first instance, drop us a line, support@consonance.app, and we'll get something in the diary, and have a chat about it. Because, you know, there's features that have existed for ages that you might not know about. There's features that we are producing all the time that are new that necessarily you might not know about. The document templates that I was talking about a couple of weeks back, you know, that's it's like briefings on, you know, absolute rails, because it's you know, being able to take your data and present it in absolutely the way that you want. You know, if you wanted that to be, I can't think of anything now, but something completely outlandish that we haven't got the marketing material templates don't quite reach towards, you can absolutely crack on with that. Great, right, well done. I know that I'm a day early, so I'm waving to you from the past, perhaps. Normal service is resumed next week. I don't have any life admin to service. So hope the temperature is not too bad for you, and drop us a line with anything that you want to know about from this. Give me a like and a subscribe. I haven't asked for a few weeks, and it's always nice to see. Massages the old ego, doesn't it? And let us know, as ever, if there's something that you'd like us to talk about on the weekly live stream. Right, fantastic. Have a good one then. See you later.